What's up, everyone? Welcome to another Cracker Crumbs update. I know, I said I wasn't going to make many updates, but what the hell, everyone seems to enjoy them. Just wanted to go over a few things that I forgot to go over on my last update. And, I keep getting messages and stuff saying that they're like, oh, you're not making any more videos, what's going on? It's not that I'm not making any more videos, I'm just not making as many updates, unless it's important stuff, because I'm not going to be getting as many comics coming in. But whenever I do, of course, I'll make an update. But I'm still going to be focusing on my actual videos and my collection and things like that. So they're coming around, just slow. Been very busy with stuff, so they do take a long time to film. I'm not gonna lie, because I sit there and I go, all right, what do I want to do next, and keep going over. I'm like, all right, let's do that one. Then I'm kind of like, I don't want to do that right now, and I procrastinate. But a couple of things I wanted to go over, like I was saying, that I obviously forgot to do. But I want to thank, I got some new subscribers. I want to thank them. I'm up to 48 now. Very cool. Supreme Comic Channel, thanks for subscribing. And Broke Collector 79, thanks for subscribing. And a couple channels you might want to check out. I have no personal gain in this. I just think they're impressive. So it's up to you. If you go to 331E Rock, there's a guy on there. He does like all these kick-ass musical stuff, like with his guitar. Just a really awesome guitarist, and like he does like the Superman theme, Batman, Tetris, like all the cool kick-ass stuff. So you might want to take a look if you like guitarist. It's very very cool. And comic book displays. That's another one that's in my favorite thing or whatever the hell's on here. But I actually had them when I went to the Wizard World Comic Con Philadelphia this year. They did the frame of my Stan Lee, which is nice, normal, nice frame. But I had no idea that they do custom frames, which is really cool. They do have a website, but if you check them out on YouTube, they just got really cool stuff. There's one actually I'm going to order. It's a Green Goblin frame that I want to put my Amazing Spider-Man 39 in, where it's orange and black, and it's got pumpkin bombs all over the place, and then it's got the Green Goblin throwing them at the top. It's really, really cool. And according to them, they can make any kind of frame you want. They can make any kind of, like, you give them the idea, you say this is what I want, and they'll make it for you. Shipping, I haven't checked how much shipping is, but it's a cool thing to check out if you want to frame your comics. They do CGC framing and they do regular framing, which is pretty cool. I just figured I'd give everyone a heads up on that. Like I said, I have no personal gain in any stuff. I just thought it was cool. Something else that I got that was cool whenever I go food shopping, obviously you gotta eat, but I pick up, if I go to the one food store I go to, I pick up these stickers that I've shown. Obviously I have the Green Goblin and Magneto, and a couple episodes ago I showed you the Punisher, but now I'm kind of happy because I got a Spider-Man, very cool, and I got the Thing. I know Mongo Downtown 7's like, oh my god, there you go. I know you're a Thing fan. Cool stuff. Alrighty. I wanted to go into some reviews of a couple of the comics that I've finally got a chance to read. That's what sucks when you're really busy and you buy these comics, and a lot of times I feel like crap because I'll buy them and I'll bag and board them. And not that I forget about them, but I just get so busy I don't even get a chance to read them half the time. And then I'm like, oh, and then like a month later I'm like, oh. Yeah. But I'm gonna get into some reviews of some of the stuff I got. But I wanted to go over a few things that King Joe was talking about that I actually did forget to do in the other update. I was saying, there's the big rumor going around that Marvel's going to be raising their prices to $4.99, $5.99, stuff like that. And King Joe made a really valid point, saying that if people just stop buying it, then maybe they'll get the message. I don't know if this would really be me as an evil bastard, but I'm actually looking forward to them raising the prices for that specific reason. That if they raise their prices to $4.99 and $5.99, granted there are going to be a lot of hardcore people out there that are going to go, all right, I'll get it because it's I have to get it. But majority of the people are going to say, you know what, enough's enough, and they're going to stop, and then hopefully Marvel will get the message and say, hey, what the hell are we doing? No one's buying our product anymore. Let's lower it. I'm kind of hoping, like, granted with DC that they stick with $2.99 and only a certain number of ones are $3.99. Okay, that's fine, it's 99, but I would love to see DC go back to like $1.99 or $1. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, like King Joe was saying the same thing. I mean, you could go into a comic book store, and for the price you're paying for one comic, you could walk out with three new books compared to the price of one new comic. So really, it's insane. And and as you were also talking about, King Joe was also talking about making subscriptions to like Marvel and DC. Very very cool because you do save money on it. But the problem I had with it is I had a subscription to Marvel a long time ago. Um, when I had moved, there was no comic book stores near me, and I'm like, all right, I didn't have the internet or anything, and then I picked up a comic, and I was like, oh, you can get subscriptions, duh. So I made a couple lists of subscriptions. Did save a lot of money, I really did. But this was back in, I'm gonna say, 2001. When I got the books, it wasn't that it was a waste of money. It's just that they didn't. You would think, coming from a company that makes comic books, they would have packaged it a hell of a lot better. But when I had gotten them, they were. I ordered 12 titles, and out of the 12 titles, 10 of them were damaged. And I was just like, you got to be kidding me! Like one would have like a huge bend in it. There were ones with like rips coming on the top. There was because they didn't bag and board them. They just kind of stuck them all together, threw them into like a package thing, and just mailed it off. Um, so it was horrible. And then when you contacted them and said, listen, this is what's going on. How am I going to get my books? They're like, oh, we can return them, but you're paying for the postage and return package to us, and then we'll send you out new ones. So it was a little ridiculous because, like I said, I got 12 titles, and out of the 12, 10 of them were damaged, and I had to send them all back. And then it took forever to get the newer ones. Um, so it was a real pain in the ass back then. And then DC was just as bad. I did the same thing with DC. DC basically gave me the FU because I had ordered, I think I ordered like 6 titles from them, and I got it in the mail, and out of the 6, 3 of them were damaged. And I called up DC and I said, what can I do to solve this? And they said, well, it's not our problem. It's the post office. It's not us. And I was telling the guy on the phone, I said, you know what, the way you package it sucks. He goes, you don't put it in bags or boards. And the guy cut me off. He's like, well, we're not supposed to put it in bags and boards. He's like, you're paying for the book. We're not, giving out free bags and free boards. So it was like a little insane. Nowadays, like that, like I said, that was in 2001, 2002. It might be a little better because one of my friends orders from DC. I don't know how Marvel does it, so I'm just going by what he does with DC because he orders Superman and Batman and a couple other ones subscription. And he said they're 10 times better than what they used to. So I guess maybe enough people complain and they finally fix their customer service with that. His stuff comes packaged really, really well. It'll be a book. Like say if I think he orders like 7 different titles. It'll be a book. It'll be a piece of cardboard, another book, a piece of cardboard, and then it's packaged in. So, is it worth it? If DC is doing that kind of packaging thing, granted they still didn't put it in a bag and a board, but they did make it a little sturdier. Where he says every now and then he'll get one that's damaged, but then he'll call them and they'll replace it for free. So they'll let him keep the damaged one and then they'll give him another one. He says they don't always do it, like where they'll give you, let you keep the damaged one. He's like, because a lot of times they want it back. But he said a lot of times they'll just say, you know what, keep it, we'll send you another one. And he goes, it does take a long time to get another one, but it comes packaged better. So I don't know. I don't know how Marvel does it anymore because, like I said, I haven't ordered from Marvel ever since that annoying thing. Do you save money? Yes, you do. You really, really do. But who knows? It's up to one personal preference there. One other thing I forgot to mention in my 50th episode was with collecting is another thing you want to do is check out price guides. The Overstreet price guide, definitely have one of those, at least one of them, just to give yourself an idea. You don't really want to base your stuff on that particular price guide because nowadays, I've said it a dozen times, is basically comics as much as, like, say if this thing was worth $100, the chance of you getting $100 is very slim. A lot of people, they're not going to pay what's the price, the listing of the price guide. They'll, their Hago year or whatever. Also, like I said this thousands of times, especially on eBay. I mean, say this is worth $100, this could be going for $600 online, and it's all what you're willing to pay. But the price guide is a good, um, not just a starter, but like a good point, like the pivotal point kind of thing, where you're focal point. There we go. To be like, all right, this is what they're telling me it's worth, and all right, and this is what I can try to get for it, and so on and so forth. So it's definitely a good idea to have one just as a reference. Another cool thing about the price guides, usually like the one I have an old one from 1991, but the old ones, like I said, I haven't really seen a lot of the new ones because I should really pick up a new one. They come out every summer, and maybe next summer I'll pick one up. But the old ones would give you just a list of every comic. So I mean, even if you bought it just for that specific reason, you're like, all right, what issue did Reed Richards marry Susan Storm, and that's Fantastic Four Annual number 3. You're like, oh, cool, all right, it's worth blah blah blah. So you definitely want to have one of those. Another thing, it's an odd request, but here at cracka, we like to answer a request. I actually got a question how I got my username. Interesting. I didn't think anyone would really give a rat's ass, but what the hell? Loki Goblin 13 is my username. How did I get that? Basically, now it's funny because I curse a man like this. Obviously, Loki is Thor's half brother or whatever you want to call him, the god of mischief, which I always thought was awesome because he was just he was like a jokester. It's just kind of like he gets into mischief, and obviously he's evil. But I didn't pick it because he's evil. I just picked it because I just thought it was cool. I named my cat Loki. Just whole big thing. I just like the name itself. And Goblin comes from the Green Goblin because he's my favorite villain, and 13 is my lucky number. So I thought Loki was awesome, and I put my Goblin in there, and then my favorite number. That's pretty much how I got it. Now you know. Alrighty, I'm going to go over some reviews, which is I'm going to start doing a lot of. So a lot of these updates, like I said, I'm not going to make any updates. No. But Manga Stomp Time 07 was definitely right. You just can't not make updates, I guess. So you know what the hell, there won't be many updates for new stuff, but there'll be updates for like reviews and obviously stuff to get off my chest because it's a lot more fun to vent on YouTube, I guess. You can't get arrested. I don't know, something like that. But yeah. So I figured I'd go reviews because I actually do have family that watch the show, and I have a couple little cousins that are into comics, thank God, and they're like, what book should I get, and I can't always be around it to help them. I definitely answer their phone calls and stuff like that, obviously, but my cousin would be like, oh, can you tell them what's in the book and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to start doing a lot more of that just to help out family. I mean, hopefully it helps out people other than family, but what the hell. I'm going to go over just a couple of the newer ones that I got so far. I talked about this last update. I can't say enough good things about Ghostbusters. Granted, I only have one of them, but my friend, he has them all, and he just says they're just as good as this one. And this really was cool. So if you want stuff especially for kids, like I said, I don't think they're going to get spooked. I mean, like I said, there are ghosts in here, but they don't look all that creepy. So it's kind of like your own judgment call. But it is just a really cool book. It's a good read, and kids might get a kick out of it. It does suck that it's $3.99, but who knows? And me being the dumbass that I am, I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, IDW. I'm like, who the hell are they? And I'm sitting here. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, what the hell? And then PGH Zombies like, oh, it's the ones that make Ninja Turtles. I'm like, that's where I seen them from. So good call. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got my Ninja Turtle one. I'm like, oh man, yeah. But anyway, moving on to this one that I got, Batman Beyond Limited number 8. I got a chance to read it today. This was really interesting. Not just because of obviously the whole Batman Beyond thing, because it does go over like after what would happen on the show, I guess. But they have like a lot of other storylines in here besides Batman. Like they have it like kind of cut, and they show Superman in the future, which is pretty interesting because at first I didn't know it was him. I mean, I look at it, I'm like, all right, Superman, look, that's Superman. I was like, he looks wrecked. And basically, what happened in the future, Lex Luthor's daughter puts, as you can see, kryptonite meteors all around the Earth. So Superman is only Superman when he's in his fortress. So he kind of like looks at the world and he can't do a damn thing because if he leaves his fortress, there's kryptonite surrounding the Earth. So he kind of does. He's powerless. You know, he's kind of useless. And on this actual thing, he says the same thing. He's like, "Oh man," he's like, I can watch all this, but I can never leave my fortress because there's nothing I can do." And then apparently, like Lex Luthor's daughter, like does some crazy stuff. It's like this cyborg kind of dude and starts destroying Metropolis. And Superman basically decides enough's enough. I've been waiting. I've been sitting in this fortress for years and years, and I've done nothing. And he institutes like a it's like the eradicator process they call it, where he like coats himself and just takes off. But it was pretty damn cool. So it's definitely worth picking that one up. It is $3.99 again, but it was pretty cool. And plus, as much as I would say I would continue buying these, I don't really know because again, $3.99 is a hefty tag, and I'm already buying a lot of Batman that are $3.99, so it's a tough call. And moving on to one that I know Mongo stomped on with 7 on, I was reading Daredevil number 18. That cover is just really, really awesome. And I was looking at it, and the artwork is it's pretty cool. It's kind of like a cell shading, which I'm going to show you in a second. But the one thing I really like how they're doing stuff now is they're making a cooler version of his radar sense, which if you look at it right here, you can see the girl. Obviously, she's how he sees her, with the heartbeat, and then it's like the waves. That's just really, really cool. And I was never really a huge Daredevil fan, but just the stories have been really, really good, and the artwork is just really cool. As you can see, like I said, kind of like cell shading. Not the best thing, but you can see Daredevil, how he almost looks like not just a cartoon, but like, I wouldn't say like a video game, but here we go, here's a better one. It's just cool looking. So this was actually a really good book. Not gonna lie. I'm starting to get into Daredevil, and I know Mongo stomped on myself and like, yeah, alright. So Daredevil's cool. Moving on, shall we? To Suicide Squad number 0. Interesting. This is actually Amanda Waller, who in the old DC stuff was a pretty big girl, and now they made her thin and young and crazy. This book, I never got the first one, so I'm looking into getting the first one just for the hell of it. But this was actually just really confusing. I'm like, all right, now what the hell's going on? I don't know, maybe it's because it's a 0, and I don't know, just really confusing. Really don't like it all that much. Moving on to Superboy, number 0. This book was insane. It was actually pretty good. Not gonna lie, I liked it. Basically, like they talk about how on Krypton they made clones. At first, it was to for space, and then when it did well, they're like, oh, we can make clones to do our work. We can make clones to do, replace body parts. We can use clones to do the crap jobs we don't want. All these things. But eventually, the clones kind of just snap, and they don't take it anymore, and they kind of revolt and go against everybody. And this thing, it kind of talks about like this huge like war between the clones and the Kryptonians. Excuse me. And obviously the Kryptonians win, and then they outlaw cloning. But then there's some guy in here. I forget what his name is. Doesn't really matter. But he comes up and he makes he's watching these people make a clone of Superman with human DNA, and it's obviously Superboy. But this guy apparently does a little bit of an influence through dreams, where he's kind of trying to get the evil side of the clone, I guess, to be dominant over the good side. So it's kind of crazy. When he's made, they have him laying in a hospital bed kind of thing, and this scientist lady who's kind of attached to him puts him in this virtual reality simulator thing, And a lot of, because the other guy influencing it, it's weird. Like you see him walking home from school, the virtual reality thing, and he's talking to a girl, and they're talking about like one of the classes, and the doctor goes, "Let's see what happens when we introduce, you know, a distress, so whatever." So they're walking, and then they stop in front of this house, and this house just bursts into flames, and there's like this girl hanging out the window, going, "Help me, get me out of here!" And Superboy, because the other guy's influence, totally ignores it. Just it doesn't exist, and the girl was like burning alive in her house, and she's screaming at "Help me, please, somebody, can you help me?" And he just starts walking away with the girl, talking about like his class that he was in, and the doctor stops the program and says, "What the hell, he totally ignored the situation." And the other guy that's influencing stuff is like laughing his ass off because he's like, all right, he's almost ready. But it was just an interesting book. It was cool. I liked it. Moving on to Batgirl #0. This was another interesting one. Just really cool. Gordon. Barbara Gordon. There we go. Basically, she's Commissioner Gordon's daughter, but she goes into like a class where she's kind of doing criminal justice kind of thing, and she goes to the precinct and she's like, I need to do interviews and stuff like that. And it's this huge, like, obviously villain. He's not a mafia guy or anything. Just let's choose him as a villain. And he starts kicking the crap out of all the cops, and she's taking martial arts and all these things, and they find in one room the cops are talking about Batman, how he's a myth, he doesn't really exist, and they put together a sketch, and they made like this makeshift costume of what people claim he looks like. And when Barbara Gordon is starts trying to help her brother, and like this guy's tearing through the police department, destroying the police, she puts on the makeshift Batman costume and just kicks the crap out of this guy. Just knocks him on his ass, and then all of a sudden, like a tear gas canister comes out of nowhere, and Batman comes out of the the mist, and he's like, "Did you do this to this person?" And she's like, kind of like, "Oh my God, he exists." And she's like, kind of like, "Yeah, I did." And he's like, "Good job." And he seems just like turn his cape and just like disappears. And she's like, then they show her later on that obviously she teams up with him and stuff like that. But it was just really, really good. I enjoyed it. Very cool. Which turns us to Batman #0. I gotta be honest, like I said, I'm a Batman fan, so a lot of times there's the variant. Um, I'm usually biased, like with Batman. I'm like, oh, Batman's awesome, I kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. But the Batman books, as of late, like I haven't really liked them all that much. I'm kind of like, eh. But this one was pretty cool. It was pretty good. A lot of people like, oh, because he's got like this bat pod kind of bat cycle in there, and like, oh, that thing sucked. It was interesting. I mean, it doesn't really take away from anything, but it was just an all around good book. It was cool. Alrighty, that's a long enough video, I think. Did a lot of stuff there. And as always, if you like what you see, hit the like button. If you like what you see, subscribe. Again, I want to thank my new subscribers. Supreme Comic Channel and Broke Collector 79. Appreciate you subscribing. And again, my links don't really work all that much, so I'm really gonna have to start writing everyone's name down and start going over it. But I apologize, I've been kind of lazy. I'm like, alright, next time, hopefully. But definitely check out Mongo Stomp Time 07, King Joe, Curse of Man, Hero Hunter, PG8 Zombie, Batman Comic 87, Deadpool Rules 91, Mega Apocalypse 2. Oh my god, cannot talk today. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next update or episode. Whichever comes first, whichever I feel like. My show, do what I want. Haha, later.